Shockwaves through the royal family. A new heartbreaking diagnosis has just been confirmed, and Prince William and Princess Kate are reportedly in tears. After months of battling illness and standing strong, this latest development has left them emotionally shattered. Insiders say the news hit harder than expected. A cruel twist just when hope was returning. What exactly was discovered? And what does this mean for their future? The couple now faces another agonizing chapter, and the world can only watch, wait, and worry. Behind the palace walls, pain runs deep. Stay with us as we uncover the emotional fallout. A shocking twist no one saw coming. It started as something simple, or so they thought. In January, Kate Middleton was scheduled for what was said to be a routine abdominal surgery, a standard procedure. Nothing major. The palace, always careful with its words, released a calm statement. They said she was doing well. There was no reason to worry, or so it seemed. For the first few weeks, everything appeared steady. Kate was out of the public eye, yes, but recovery takes time. The royal family maintained their calm exterior, a carefully constructed wall of normalcy. William attended a few public engagements. The kids were seen with their nanny. But behind those castle doors, something didn't feel right. Then came the devastating discovery. Something no one had prepared for. Hidden during surgery, doctors found signs of cancer. The news sent shockwaves through the palace. Kate's initial recovery wasn't a recovery at all. It was only the beginning of a much darker road. It felt like the floor disappeared, one source close to the family shared quietly. From that moment, everything changed. Silence became strategy. The royal press team went into full lockdown. No details, no explanations, just a long, empty void of appearances and public statements. But how long could they keep it under wraps? How long could the world stay in the dark? This wasn't the story anyone expected, but now it's the story that changed everything. And while the palace kept quiet, one man's life was crumbling behind the scenes. The prince who once stood unshaken was now facing his greatest test, not as a royal, but as a husband. Prince William's world stops. The diagnosis hit William like a wave, sharp, sudden, and overwhelming. One minute he was juggling royal meetings, school pickups, and speeches. The next, he was staring at hospital walls, watching the love of his life hooked up to IVs. His world didn't just slow down, it stopped completely. Behind closed doors, William isolated. Those closest to him said he stopped eating regularly. He skipped daily briefings. He was always awake, but rarely rested. He would pace the halls late at night, often alone. "He's never been like this," a family friend whispered. "It's like he's lost in his own mind." He tried to keep a brave face in public, but even that began to crack. Bags under his eyes, missed appointments, an occasional tremble in his voice. The pressures of duty collided with the pain of a man watching his wife suffer. "I'm not a prince right now," he reportedly told a staffer. "I'm a husband. That's it." It wasn't just about cancer. It was about helplessness. The inability to protect the one person he's always protected. "I would trade places with her in a second," William confided to a close friend. But he couldn't. All he could do was be there. And sometimes, even that felt impossible. The palace may be built on stone, but right now, William is standing on sand. And to truly understand the pain they're in now, we have to go back. Back to where it all began, when William and Kate were just students, not symbols. When love wasn't about duty, but about connection. From campus to coronation. It was the fall of 2001 when Kate Middleton first locked eyes with Prince William at St. Andrews University in Scotland. 2 students, 2 lives, and 1 moment that would eventually shape the future of the monarchy. Back then, there were no press cameras, just awkward introductions, late-night study sessions, and cafeteria lunches. They became friends first, then housemates, then something more. Their early love story was anything but perfect, full of ups and downs, breakups, and reconciliations. But those tough moments only proved one thing: their bond was real. "We needed those breaks," Kate once said. "They made us stronger." In 2010, the world held its breath. William proposed in Kenya using Princess Diana's sapphire ring. A gesture that wasn't just romantic, it was symbolic. A son carrying on his mother's legacy, asking the woman he loved to join him in it. Their wedding the following year was more than royal tradition. It was a fairy tale, written in real time. And now, that same love story faces its hardest chapter yet. Not from scandals or press storms, but from something far more human. Illness, vulnerability, fear. "We've been through so much," William once said, "but this is different. Because this time, it's not just about love, it's about survival." From the halls of a university to the weight of a crown, their love has carried them. But can it carry them through this? And while the world still asked questions, the palace began building walls. Silence grew thicker, rumors ran wild, but behind every closed curtain, a secret was being held. One that could no longer stay hidden. Secrets behind palace walls. As weeks passed with no official sightings of Kate, questions turned into whispers, whispers into full-blown speculation. Where was she? Why hadn't she appeared, even briefly? Was she recovering? Or was something much worse being hidden? The silence was deafening, and soon the public began filling in the blanks themselves. Rumors took over. Some said it was cosmetic surgery gone wrong. Others suggested a secret marital fallout. Wild theories flooded social media. "Is this the new Megxit?" one tabloid blared. Yet none of it felt quite right. The palace stayed tight-lipped. Statements were vague. Photos were non-existent. Staff members gave rehearsed lines, carefully worded but strangely cold. Behind the scenes, however, tension was boiling. Senior aides were instructed to remain silent. Staff members close to Kate were moved to different assignments. One insider shared, "Everyone was on edge. You could feel something wasn't right, but no one could say it out loud." The palace, usually a machine of routine, had started skipping beats. And then came the phone call. The one that made the truth impossible to contain. Jason Nauf, former Royal Communications Chief and longtime family advisor, was one of the few who received the real story. The moment he was told about the cancer diagnosis, he reportedly whispered, "Oh my God, this changes everything." They thought they could control the narrative, but illness has a way of writing its own story. And in the middle of this royal firestorm stood Kate, not just a duchess, not just a princess, but a mother. And her quiet strength during this storm was unlike anything the world had seen before. A mother's silent strength. While the press obsessed over her absence, Kate was enduring silent battles no camera could capture. The nausea, the bone-deep fatigue, the hair loss that came in clumps. But through it all, her biggest concern wasn't herself. It was her children. George, Charlotte, and Louis remained her center. She tried to maintain their routines, even on her worst days. Garden walks, story time, breakfast at the table. She didn't want them to feel scared, one friend revealed. She wanted life to feel normal, even when it wasn't. Every moment of weakness was followed by a forced smile, one Kate wore for their sake. But at some point, the conversation had to happen. William and Kate sat their children down. In gentle, age-appropriate words, they said, "Mommy is sick, but she's getting help." It wasn't easy. Charlotte reportedly burst into tears. George asked questions they didn't know how to answer. Louis was too young to fully understand, but he sensed the change. Still, Kate shielded them as best she could. Her royal titles didn't matter. Her public image didn't matter. What mattered was being there, even if she could barely stand. "She is the definition of quiet resilience," a palace insider co-shared. "She's fighting two battles, one with cancer and one for her children's peace of mind." In a palace full of power, it was a mother's softness that held the walls together. But while Kate fought her battle with silent grace, something inside William began to break. The man known for poise, presence, and duty was unraveling. And this time, he didn't care who saw it. Prince William's breaking point. He'd held it together for weeks, for Kate, for the children, for the country. But everyone has a limit, even a future king. And when William reached his, it was visible, raw, real. He cried in front of staff, not once, but several times. The man who had walked behind his mother's coffin at age 15 was now breaking. Colleagues noticed changes, missed briefings, skipped meals, delayed appearances. He canceled a climate summit last minute. He turned down an overseas visit. One aide said he was there physically but emotionally gone. This wasn't the William the world knew. This was a husband in emotional freefall. At home, it was worse. He reportedly spent hours just sitting beside Kate, holding her hand. Barely speaking, just being present. Friends tried to reach out, but he didn't reply. "He's drowning," one close source shared. "He doesn't want comfort. He wants her to be okay." Even senior royals began to worry. Charles reportedly suggested professional counseling. Queen Camilla voiced her concern quietly but firmly. But William, ever the stoic, refused anything that pulled him away from Kate. "She needs me," he said. "That's all that matters right now." The man born to lead a nation couldn't fix the one thing that mattered most, and it broke him. And so, a choice had to be made. A choice between the monarchy and the woman he loves, between tradition and heart, between duty and devotion. When duty and love collide. William had a decision to make, and he made it fast. He began to step away from royal duties, gradually but noticeably. Events once marked as confirmed on his calendar suddenly disappeared. State dinners were missed. Speeches were postponed. There was no scandal, no dramatic announcement, just silence, replaced by his presence at home. At first, the palace called it necessary adjustments, but behind closed doors, it was an emotional reshuffling of priorities. William wasn't focused on politics, Commonwealth trips, or PR optics. He was focused on Kate. "He looked at us and said, 'She's my only job right now,' a senior aide confided. Critics raised eyebrows. Is the heir to the throne faltering? Was he pulling back at the worst possible moment, especially with King Charles undergoing his own cancer treatment? But within the palace walls, the message was clear. Family comes first. And for William, there was no crown more important than his wife's health. What came next was a shift in royal expectations. William, once the perfect image of royal duty, was now rewriting the rule book. "He's showing the world what leadership actually looks like," said a longtime friend. "He's showing that love, loyalty, and presence are just as royal as protocol and pageantry." Maybe this isn't the future of the monarchy faltering. Maybe it's finally evolving. But as whispers grew and speculation spiraled, the world wanted answers. The silence couldn't last forever. And when Kate finally spoke, her words shook a nation to its core. The public reveal that shook the nation. It was a quiet evening in March when the palace uploaded a video. No fanfare, no advanced notice. Just Kate, sitting alone, her voice calm but visibly emotional. She looked directly into the camera and said 4 words the public never expected to hear. "I have cancer." And just like that, the silence broke. In under 3 minutes, the world changed how it saw her. Kate wasn't just a royal anymore. She was a human being, a woman in pain, a mother fighting for her life. She didn't hide behind a script. She spoke with raw grace. "This has been an incredibly tough few months," she shared, pausing between sentences. Across the country, tears flowed. Messages of support poured in, from leaders, celebrities, and everyday citizens. People lit candles, left flowers outside hospitals, wrote thousands of letters. Even critics fell silent. It took 3 minutes for her to show more courage than most people do in a lifetime, one viewer posted. And just like that, something shifted. This wasn't about titles anymore. This was about resilience, about facing fear with dignity, about a princess who didn't ask for pity, but inspired hope. "I'm receiving treatment, and I'm getting stronger every day," Kate said softly. And the nation, once filled with questions, responded with unity. In revealing her pain, she revealed her power. And while the world rallied around her, 3 small hearts were beating quietly behind palace walls. George, Charlotte, and Louis, watching, listening, sensing. Innocence caught in a storm. Innocence in a storm. Even without the words, children know when something's wrong. George had noticed his father's longer silences. Charlotte saw the extra people at the house. Louis began clinging tighter to Kate, unsure why she was resting so much. Kids don't need headlines to understand change. They feel it in the quiet moments. William and Kate decided early on, the children would come first. They wouldn't be shielded from the truth, but they'd be protected from fear. "Mommy is sick, but getting help," they told them. That simple sentence became the foundation for how they navigated the months ahead. No panic, no chaos, just honesty, wrapped in love. Routine became their shield. Every bedtime story, every walk in the garden, every pancake breakfast was a small act of stability. Even on Kate's worst days, she made time to sit with them, even if only for 5 minutes. She didn't want them to remember hospitals, said one friend. She wanted them to remember hugs. The palace became a bubble, not of royal grandeur, but of family warmth. Nannies supported, grandparents helped, but the emotional work, that was all William and Kate. They weren't just parents now. They were protectors of childhood. Because even when the world felt uncertain, their home would not. In the darkest moments, they turned fear into love and routine into refuge. But behind this fragile peace was an army of support, friends, family, even unexpected voices from afar. And what they did next brought strength to the woman the world now calls a warrior. The pillars of Kate's recovery. As Kate began her treatment, a quiet circle formed around her, not in public view, not in press statements, but in real, consistent action. At the center was William. He became not just a husband, but her emotional anchor. He was there for every appointment, said a source. He never left her side, not once. The Middleton family stepped in quietly but powerfully. Carol, her mother, moved into Adelaide Cottage to help with the children. Pippa came on weekends. Michael kept the kitchen stocked, bringing fresh meals. Even James, Kate's younger brother, was often seen slipping in through back entrances. They weren't there for show, they were there for Kate. Support also came from old friends, the ones who knew her before palaces and tiaras. Friends from Marlborough, from St. Andrews. They sent letters, shared jokes, reminded her who she was before all this. "She's not just a princess to us," one friend said. "She's our Katie, and we've got her back." Even the royals across the pond sent their love. Harry and Meghan, despite tensions, broke their silence. A handwritten note from Meghan, a short call from Harry. "We're thinking of you," they said. It didn't erase the past, but it softened something. For a moment, the monarchy remembered it was still a family. Kate wasn't alone. She was surrounded, not by cameras, but by care. And as months passed, strength returned. Not all at once, but slowly, steadily. And then she stepped back into the light. And what happened next? No one expected. Kate's life mission. Even before her illness, Kate had a purpose. Her work with early childhood development, maternal mental health, and family well-being was well known. But suddenly, it all felt prophetic, as if her life had been preparing her for this moment. It was like her mission chose her before the diagnosis did, one aide said. Now, those causes aren't just projects, they're deeply personal. Kate's foundation shifted gears. Cancer awareness, emotional support for families, new programs for children coping with illness in their households. "We saw a change in her tone," said a Kensington Palace spokesperson. "It's no longer about strategy. It's about survival, compassion, and truth." Her speeches became more raw, more relatable. She talked about fear, about fatigue, about guilt. "There were moments I didn't want to get out of bed," she confessed during a private roundtable. "But knowing others felt the same. That gave me strength." Her vulnerability became her weapon. She's now building what insiders are calling a legacy of healing. A post-recovery initiative is underway, with Kate at the center of it. Her voice isn't just royal now. It's real. It's human. "This is no longer just a chapter in her story," one supporter said. "It's her life's mission, and it's just getting started." She was a princess by title. Now she's a warrior by choice. And then came the moment the world held its breath for. A single public appearance. Cameras ready. Crowds waiting. And when she stepped out, the roar was deafening. The graceful return. Not just surviving. It was October 2024. Kate made her first public appearance since the announcement, at the hospital where she received her treatment. A full-circle moment. She wore a soft green coat, a nod to healing. Her smile was calm. Her steps were strong. The crowd didn't cheer. They wept. "She's back," someone whispered. By Christmas, she walked the Sandringham path with her family. A royal tradition, but this time with a new sense of serenity. William at her side, the children beaming. Every step she took felt symbolic, like reclaiming ground she almost lost. "She looked peaceful," said a royal correspondent, "like someone who stared fear in the face and walked past it." Spring brought another surprise. A symbolic video, released in May 2025, showed Kate in nature, surrounded by greenery and sunlight. No words, just images of growth, life, and stillness. The message was clear. She wasn't just surviving. She was blooming again, slowly, quietly, powerfully. One final moment sealed it all. A joint appearance with King Charles and the Emir of Qatar. An image of resilience and diplomacy. Kate's role had evolved. She wasn't just the princess of photo ops. She was a pillar of strength in a shifting monarchy. And the world took notice. She left as a duchess in crisis and returned as a queen of resilience. But what does this mean for tomorrow? For William? For Kate? For the crown itself? One chapter has ended, but another, perhaps even more defining, has just begun. What comes next? For William, Kate. As Kate recovers, William is adjusting too. Insiders say he's rethinking how he approaches royal life. Less about protocol, more about presence. He wants to be there for the kids, for her. For this new phase, said a senior royal aide. And he's willing to reshape his role to do it. There are quiet talks about slowing down public appearances, delegating more responsibilities, and increasing time at home. Not just for recovery, but for reflection. He's seen what really matters, said a friend. And it's not ceremonies. It's family. It's love. Kate, meanwhile, continues to work behind the scenes. She's not rushing into constant engagements, but when she does appear, it matters. Every speech, every visit, every initiative now carries emotional weight. She's not just doing royal duty, she's leading with lived experience. As for the children, only time will tell. Will they remember fear or the strength they witnessed? Will this chapter harden them or deepen their sense of empathy? One thing is clear, this family has changed, and maybe so has the monarchy. The crown is heavy, but love is heavier, and in the end, love won. As the cameras fade and the headlines shift, Kate and William are left grappling with a reality that feels heavier than any royal duty. This new diagnosis has not only shaken their world, it's tested the very foundation of their love and resilience. But even through tears, they stand together. What comes next is unknown. But one thing is certain. They are not alone. The world is watching. The nation is praying. And this story, their story, is far from over. We'll be here with every update, every turn, and every tear. Because sometimes, even royals need hope.